When I look back on it now, it's almost absurd to think how such a small, careless moment could unravel into something that would change the way I see myself forever. One single word, spoken without hesitation, set everything into motion. That word was yes. At the time, I didn't think it mattered. I didn't think it would follow me, haunt me, and eventually define me in ways I never expected. It all started on a weekend that was meant to be ordinary. I was at Alex's place, my closest friend, the kind of person who never let life stay boring for long. His apartment was the same chaos as always, clothes on the chair, empty cans on the table, and the faint smell of pizza lingering in the air. He was scrolling through something on his phone, laughing to himself, when he suddenly looked up at me with a spark of mischief in his eyes. "You know," he said, leaning back with that cocky grin that always spelled trouble, "I bet you'd actually look pretty good in a dress." I scoffed immediately, throwing a cushion at him as if to swat the ridiculous idea out of the air.
Yeah, right.
Very funny. But Alex wasn't joking. He leaned forward, studying me in that way he did when he was sizing up whether a dare would land. "No, I'm serious. You've got the kind of face that could pull it off. With a little makeup, you'd probably fool half the people out there." I laughed, but there was something nervous about it, like I wasn't sure whether to be insulted or oddly flattered. Can you imagine me in heels? I'd probably break my neck before I made it down the hallway. He just smirked, the idea clearly gaining traction in his mind. "Come on. Don't pretend you're not at least a little curious. Just once. For fun. Nobody else will ever know. Just me and you." His voice had that dangerous lilt, the kind that had dragged me into singing humiliating karaoke songs, trying bizarre food combinations, and crashing parties I didn't belong at. But this wasn't like those dares. This one cut deeper, brushing against something I couldn't quite name. I tried to deflect, looking down at the carpet, fiddling with the edge of my hoodie.
Yeah, sure.
Hilarious idea. But Alex didn't let it drop. He leaned closer, eyes locked on mine, and asked, "So, yes or no?" That was the moment. My chance to laugh it off, shake my head, and move on. But instead, before my brain could catch up to my mouth, I heard myself say it, clear, solid, irrevocable. Yes. The air seemed to freeze. Alex blinked once, then broke into a grin so wide it was almost comical. "Wait, did you just say yes? Oh my God, you actually did. This is going to be amazing." I swallowed hard, my throat suddenly dry. Part of me wanted to backpedal instantly, to insist I was joking, but the words had been spoken, and Alex was already on his feet, rushing into his bedroom. I sat there on the couch, heart thundering, palms damp, wondering what on earth I had just agreed to. Why hadn't I said no? Why did the thought of stopping him feel almost disappointing? Moments later, he reappeared with a cardboard box so large and dusty it looked like it hadn't been touched in years. He dropped it onto the coffee table with a dramatic thud. "You, my friend," he announced, "are about to witness history." The box creaked open like some hidden treasure chest, and inside was a kaleidoscope of color. Dresses, skirts, scarves, and a tangle of costume jewelry. My sister left all this behind when she moved out. "I knew I kept it for a reason," Alex said proudly, tossing fabric aside as if searching for the perfect prize. I stared at the pile in disbelief. "You've got to be kidding me." But Alex wasn't kidding. He pulled out a pastel dress, soft pink with little white flowers stitched across it, and held it up to my chest like a tailor.
"See? Perfect.
You're going to look incredible." The flutter in my chest betrayed me. I wanted to protest, to laugh it off, to say it was too much. But my voice caught in my throat. There was something both terrifying and magnetic about the idea. The next thing I knew, Alex was shoving the dress into my arms and practically herding me toward the bathroom. "Go on.
Put it on."
"I'll wait." The bathroom mirror reflected my wide, uncertain eyes as I locked the door behind me. My hands shook as I pulled off my hoodie, the fabric of the dress whispering against my skin as I slid it over my head. It was loose in some places, snug in others, the hem brushing my knees in a way that made me acutely aware of my own body. And then I looked in the mirror. It was me, but not me. The reflection staring back was awkward, ill-fitting, and strange, but there was something else. Something I couldn't look away from. I gripped the sink, heart racing. "What am I doing?" I whispered. And then Alex's voice came through the door, teasing and impatient. "Come on already. Don't keep me waiting." My pulse hammered in my ears as I reached for the doorknob. Step by step, I opened the door. The moment Alex saw me, his expression changed, and that was the first time I realized this was going to be far bigger than either of us had thought. For a split second after I stepped out, I thought Alex was going to burst out laughing. I braced myself for it, ready to feel like a fool. But instead, he just stared. His grin faded into something else, something I couldn't read right away. His eyes widened slightly, not with mockery but with surprise, maybe even awe. "Whoa," he finally said, his voice lower than usual. "I didn't think it would actually work this well." I froze, my hands instinctively tugging at the hem of the dress, wishing I could melt back into the bathroom and lock the door forever. "Don't," I muttered. "Don't make fun of me. I'm not." Alex stepped closer, circling me as though I were some strange discovery. "I mean it.
Look at you."
If someone walked in right now, they'd have to look twice." His words sent a jolt through me, half fear, half something I couldn't quite name. Was this what passing felt like? Was I really pulling this off even a little? The thought made me dizzy. I turned back toward the mirror in the hallway, trying to see what he saw. It was still me, awkward and flushed, but there was something different in the way the dress hung, the way my shoulders softened under the straps. It was subtle, fragile, but it was there. "Okay," I said quickly, needing to break the tension. "You've had your laugh. I'm taking this off now." But Alex caught my arm before I could retreat. "No way. We're just getting started." He dashed back to the box and began pulling out accessories, tossing them onto the couch in a growing pile. Scarves, bangles, even a wig so tangled it looked like it had survived a tornado. "We're doing this properly. Hair, makeup, everything. You can't half-commit to a transformation like this." I shook my head, but my heart was already pounding in a rhythm that told me I wasn't going to resist him. "Alex, this is insane. I don't even know how to." "That's the fun part," he cut in, holding up a small eyeshadow palette triumphantly. "Lucky for you, I had front-row seats to watching my sister do this stuff for years."
"Sit."
Before I could argue, I found myself perched on the edge of the couch, the pink dress pooling awkwardly around my knees. Alex towered over me with a makeup brush in hand, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "This is ridiculous," I muttered again, though my voice lacked conviction. "Relax," he said, his tone gentler now. "Just trust me." And so I sat there, motionless, as he leaned in and began. The soft bristles swept across my eyelids, the sensation foreign but oddly soothing. My lashes fluttered involuntarily, and I heard him chuckle.
"See?
You're already a natural." I wanted to roll my eyes, but something in me stayed still, letting him continue. The smell of powder filled the air, the gentle tug of a brush tracing along my cheeks, the faint tickle of eyeliner. My mind swirled with conflicting feelings, embarrassment, curiosity, nerves, and a strange, growing calm. When he finally stepped back, his grin was brighter than ever.
"Okay.
"Ready to meet, well, the new you?" My throat tightened. "I don't think I want to." But Alex was already turning the mirror toward me. The person staring back made my breath hitch. It was me, but softened, reshaped. My eyes looked larger, framed by faint shadows and delicate lines. My lips carried a subtle tint. It wasn't perfect, it was clumsy and uneven in places, but it was enough to make me blink in disbelief. "That can't be me," I whispered. Alex crossed his arms proudly. "Told you. You've been hiding potential this whole time." My fingers lifted unconsciously, brushing my cheek, as if to confirm it was real. The reflection blinked back, nervous and fragile, but undeniably changed. And in that moment, a seed was planted, one I didn't realize would grow faster than I could control. "Alex," I said quietly, unable to meet his gaze. "Why do I not hate this?" For once, he didn't smirk or joke. His voice was calm, thoughtful. Because maybe it's not just a joke anymore. Those words hung in the air between us, heavy and impossible to ignore. I couldn't stop staring at the mirror, even as my mind screamed at me to look away. Every instinct told me this was dangerous territory, that I was crossing some invisible line I could never uncross. But my eyes were glued to the reflection, like I was trying to solve a puzzle that suddenly looked a lot like me and not like me at the same time. Alex sat back on the armrest of the couch, watching me with a smug satisfaction. But there was something gentler in his expression now, a curiosity behind the teasing. You know, you're handling this better than I thought. I expected you to freak out. I am freaking out, I muttered, pulling my hand into my lap. My voice cracked more than I wanted it to. I mean, look at me. What am I even doing right now? You're just trying something new, Alex said easily, shrugging as if it were the most casual thing in the world. That's all. People dye their hair, get piercings, wear wild clothes. You're just experimenting a little differently. I shook my head, but his words lodged themselves somewhere deep inside me. Experimenting. Trying something new. Was that all this was? Then why did my chest feel so tight, like I was standing on the edge of something much bigger than a harmless game? Alex leaned forward suddenly, grabbing the wig from the pile. One more step. Trust me, this will tie it all together. I groaned, covering my face.
No.
No way. That's too much. Too much, he teased, tugging gently at my hands until I looked up. You've already gone this far. Don't stop halfway. And just like that, he plopped the wig, dark brown and slightly wavy, onto my head. The strands were messy, slipping down across my face. He fussed with it, tucking hair behind my ears, adjusting it until it sat somewhat naturally. Then he stood back, smiling like he'd just completed a masterpiece. Now look, he said softly. I hesitated, heart hammering, before turning back to the mirror. The sight made me inhale sharply. It wasn't flawless, far from it. The wig was imperfect, the makeup amateur, the dress not even my size. And yet, there was someone new in the glass, someone unfamiliar but strangely magnetic. My face looked softer, framed by hair. The colors on my cheeks, the shape of the dress, all of it combined into an image that sent a shiver racing down my spine. For the first time, I didn't see a joke. I saw a possibility. Alex, my voice was barely audible. This doesn't even look like me anymore. He tilted his head, studying me. That's because maybe there's more than one version of you. You just haven't met them all yet. His words landed with a weight I wasn't ready for. More than one version of me. My hands trembled as I touched the strands of fake hair, the fabric of the dress, the painted lips. Who was this version? And why did it feel so strangely right? I tore my eyes away, shaking my head, needing to break the spell. This is crazy. People would laugh. People would. No one else has to know, Alex interrupted. His tone was calm, steady, almost reassuring. This can stay between us. But I think you should sit with it. See how it feels, instead of running from it. Running. That was exactly what I wanted to do. Rip off the wig, scrub off the makeup, bury the dress back in the box, and pretend it had never happened. But my body didn't move. My legs felt anchored. My gaze kept flickering back to the mirror like it held answers I didn't dare ask out loud. And then Alex asked the question that tipped everything further than I thought I'd go. Do you want to see what it's like out there? The words hit like a thunderclap. My head snapped toward him. Out there? Are you insane? I can't, there's no way. He shrugged casually, but his grin returned. Not far. Just a walk down the hallway. No one's around. It'll be quick. You'll get the rush of it. Like stepping onto a stage. My stomach dropped. The thought of leaving the safety of these four walls dressed like this made my pulse skyrocket. But beneath the fear, there was a spark of adrenaline, an itch I couldn't deny. I shook my head furiously. Absolutely not. But even as I said it, the tiniest part of me wondered, what if I did? And that thought alone scared me more than anything else. I wanted to laugh it off, to call Alex insane, and end this whole ridiculous adventure before it spiraled any further. But the idea wouldn't leave my head. Out there. Just a hallway, just a door away. The thought alone made my palms clammy, my heartbeat uneven. It was terrifying, but it also tugged at me, like some invisible thread pulling me forward. Alex leaned back against the couch, arms folded, watching me struggle with myself. "You don't have to," he said finally, his tone softer now. "But if you do, I promise you'll never forget how it feels." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "How it feels?" "The moment when you realize you can step outside as someone else," he said simply. "The moment when you realize no one's stopping you from being whoever you want." The weight of those words settled over me, heavier than I expected. My instinct was to argue, to push back, but instead, I found myself staring at the wig strands brushing against my cheek, at the hem of the dress grazing my knees. "Whoever I want." That phrase echoed inside me like it belonged to a future I wasn't ready to admit existed. I stood up abruptly, needing to move before I talked myself into, or out of, something. My legs wobbled, and used to the sensation of the dress shifting around me. Alex's eyes lit up immediately, like he knew exactly what I was about to do. "Wait," I said quickly, panic rising. "Not the hallway. Just maybe the balcony." He grinned, springing to his feet.
Deal.
Before I knew it, he was sliding the balcony door open. The evening air rushed in, cool against my skin, carrying the faint sounds of distant traffic. The world outside felt enormous compared to the little bubble I'd been trapped in. I hesitated at the threshold, gripping the doorframe so tightly my knuckles whitened. My brain screamed at me to stop, to stay hidden, to not take this risk. But beneath the fear was that other feeling again, the spark, the pull, the curiosity. One step. My bare foot touched the cool surface of the balcony. The rush hit instantly, an electric current racing through me, nerves and exhilaration colliding in a dizzying wave. My chest rose and fell rapidly as I looked down at the quiet street below, the faint glow of streetlights flickering on. For a fleeting moment, I imagined someone looking up and seeing me like this. The thought was terrifying, but it was also intoxicating. Alex stood behind me, arms crossed, his smile softer this time.
"See?
Not so bad, is it?" I shook my head, gripping the railing, my voice a whisper. "It feels unreal." "That's because you're doing something you never thought you'd dare," he said. "That feeling? That's freedom." I closed my eyes, letting the breeze tangle the wig, feeling the weight of the dress against me, the faint trace of makeup still lingering on my skin. For the first time that day, I wasn't just playing along with Alex's joke. I was living it. And then, from somewhere deep in the apartment, a sound shattered the fragile moment. A door slammed. My eyes shot open, panic flooding me. Alex's head snapped toward the noise, his grin vanishing in an instant. Someone else was in the building. Someone who could walk down the hallway at any second. "Get inside," Alex hissed urgently, tugging me back into the apartment. I stumbled, my heart hammering like a drum in my chest. Suddenly, the dress felt heavier, the makeup too obvious, the wig a spotlight on my head. What if someone saw? What if they knew? We froze, listening. Footsteps echoed faintly in the hallway, moving closer. Every nerve in my body screamed. The footsteps in the hallway were slow but steady, each one slamming against my nerves like a hammer. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat, pounding so loudly I was sure whoever it was would hear it through the door. Alex put a finger to his lips, motioning for me to stay silent. His usual grin was gone, replaced by a seriousness I had never seen on him before. I backed up against the wall, pressing myself flat, trying to make myself invisible. The wig strand stuck to the sweat on my forehead, and the dress clung uncomfortably to my skin. The footsteps grew louder, closer, until they paused right outside Alex's door. My chest tightened. This was it. I was going to be caught. Someone was going to open that door and see me like this, and there'd be no explaining it away. The fear was paralyzing. Then, just as suddenly, the sound moved again, the steps continuing down the hallway, fading into the distance. I exhaled sharply, realizing I had been holding my breath. My knees nearly gave out as relief flooded through me, mixed with leftover panic. Alex let out a soft laugh, shaking his head. Relax. No one's out to get you. I glared at him, though my hands were still trembling. That wasn't funny. That was terrifying. Yeah, he admitted, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth again. But also kind of thrilling, right? I wanted to deny it. I wanted to insist that it was awful and that I hated every second of it. But deep down, I couldn't ignore the truth. The rush had been overwhelming, yes, but it had also been exhilarating. For those tense moments, my entire world had narrowed to the possibility of being seen, and somehow, that danger had made the transformation feel more real than ever. I sank onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. I don't even know who I am right now. Alex sat beside me, his tone gentler now. You don't have to figure it out in one night. You said yes to something new, and you went through with it. That's huge. Most people wouldn't have the guts. His words should have comforted me, but instead they dug deeper into the whirlpool of emotions inside me. Guts? No, this wasn't bravery. This was confusion. And yet, part of me didn't regret it. I lifted my head slowly, staring again at the mirror across the room. The reflection was still there, messy, imperfect, undeniably different. But now, after everything that had just happened, I didn't see it as temporary. I whispered before I even realized the words were leaving my mouth. What if I like this? Alex didn't answer right away. He leaned back, studying me, his expression unreadable. Finally, he said quietly, then maybe it means something. His words hung in the air like smoke, impossible to wave away. I didn't know what they meant yet, and maybe neither did he. But they wrapped around me, pulling me deeper into a reality I hadn't planned for. And then, to my surprise, Alex stood abruptly and clapped his hands.
All right.
Time for phase 2. I blinked. Phase 2?
What are you talking about?
He grinned, already heading back toward the box of clothes. You've tried on one dress. That's just the warm-up. Now we find out what really works for you. My heart lurched. The idea of putting on another outfit, of going even further into this, made me dizzy with both dread and anticipation. Alex, I don't think. Trust me, he interrupted, pulling out a sleek navy skirt and a fitted white blouse. He held them up like a magician revealing his next trick. This one's going to blow your mind. And despite every protest rising in my throat, I felt myself stand up again, drawn by something I couldn't fight anymore. The navy skirt and white blouse hung from Alex's hands like a challenge. Compared to the floral dress, they looked sharper, more deliberate, almost professional. Something about them made my stomach flip in a different way. Less playful, more serious, like stepping into a role I wasn't sure I could carry. I don't know, I muttered, reaching out to touch the fabric. The skirt was smooth beneath my fingers, light but structured. The blouse had delicate buttons running down the front, the kind of thing I'd seen worn in offices or at formal events. Wearing something like this wasn't just dress up, it was pretending to belong somewhere I never had. Alex smirked. The dress was cute. This, though? This is the real test. I swallowed hard, my pulse quickening as I retreated back into the bathroom. The mirror glared at me under the bright lights, almost accusatory, as I peeled off the pink dress. My hands shook as I slipped the blouse over my arms, fumbling with the buttons. The skirt came next, hugging tighter at the waist, falling neatly just above my knees. When I finally looked up, I froze. The reflection staring back was startling. The blouse softened my shoulders, the skirt gave shape to my frame. Combined with the wig and makeup, it created an image that felt more believable, more complete. For the first time, I didn't just see myself awkwardly playing a part. I saw someone who could almost pass. I stood there, stunned, until Alex knocked on the door. You alive in there? My voice caught in my throat.
Yeah.
I just hold on. I stepped out cautiously, my bare feet silent against the floor. Alex's eyes widened, and for once, he didn't have a clever remark ready. His silence stretched on long enough to make me squirm. Finally, he let out a low whistle.
Okay.
That's something else. Heat rushed to my face. I crossed my arms instinctively, but the blouse only made the movement look dainty, feminine. I felt exposed in a way I hadn't before, but not entirely in a bad way. See what I mean? Alex said, standing to circle me like he had before. It's not just a costume anymore. You're blending into it. His words sent another rush through me, sharp and confusing. Blending into it. Did that mean I was losing myself? Or was I finding something new? I didn't know. I turned to the mirror in the living room, unable to stop myself from looking. My reflection held me captive again, but this time, I didn't see a stranger. I saw a possibility that felt frighteningly close to real. Alex, I whispered, my throat dry. Why does this feel natural? He looked at me seriously now, the teasing gone. Because maybe it is. That answer rattled through me, shaking loose questions I'd never dared ask myself. Could this be part of who I really was? Or was I just lost in the thrill of the moment? I touched the hem of the skirt, the smoothness of the blouse, the strands of hair brushing my cheeks. The fear of being discovered was still there, but layered beneath it now was something deeper, an undeniable pull I couldn't ignore. Alex must have sensed it, because he grinned again, softer this time. We're not done yet. But before we go any further, I think you need a name. I blinked, startled. A name? Yeah, he said simply. Every version of a person deserves a name. If you're going to look like this, you should know who you are when you see her in the mirror. His words sank into me like stones dropped in water, rippling outward. A name. The thought made my chest tighten and my stomach twist all at once. And for the first time, I wondered what it would be like to not just look the part, but to actually step into it completely. The word, name, lingered in the air like a spark threatening to ignite something bigger than either of us expected. A name meant permanence. A name meant identity. Up until now, I could pretend this was all just a strange game, a dare taken too far. But the moment Alex said it, I realized we had crossed into new territory. I don't need a name, I stammered, tugging at the blouse's collar nervously. It's not real. Alex tilted his head, studying me carefully. Does it feel fake? I froze. My reflection in the mirror said enough. No, it didn't feel fake. It felt fragile, yes, like a delicate illusion that could shatter at any moment, but not fake. If anything, it felt too real. My silence must have given me away, because Alex's smirk softened into something more thoughtful. He tapped his chin playfully.
All right.
Then, let's figure out together. Who do you look like to me right now? He paced slowly, circling as though weighing options, muttering names under his breath. Claire? Sophie? Emily, each one striking me with a strange mix of discomfort and curiosity. I kept shaking my head, insisting it was silly, but every time he tried another name, I felt a flicker inside me, a whisper of possibility. Finally, he stopped snapping his fingers. Got it. You look like, Lily. The name hit me harder than I expected. Lily. Soft, delicate, but not weak. Something about it stuck, settling into my chest like it belonged there. My lips parted, but no sound came out. Alex noticed. His grin returned, triumphant. See that look on your face? That's it. You're Lily now. I shook my head furiously, heat flooding my cheeks. No, don't call me that. I'm not. Lily, he repeated firmly, almost gently. Look in the mirror. Say it. I turned reluctantly, my gaze locking with a reflection that still didn't feel entirely like me. My throat tightened. The name echoed in my mind, daring me to try it. My voice cracked. I can't. Yes, you can, Alex urged, his tone surprisingly kind. Just once. I gripped the edge of the dresser, my knuckles pale, my heart hammered, my stomach twisted. And then, almost in a whisper I wasn't sure I wanted him to hear, I said it. Lily. The sound of it left me shaken. It was like a secret I had spoken out loud for the first time, fragile and terrifying, yet strangely beautiful. Alex's expression softened instantly. There she is. I couldn't look at him. My eyes burned as I turned back to the mirror, the name echoing in my head over and over.
Lily.
It didn't erase who I had been a moment ago, but it layered something new on top, something I wasn't sure I wanted to peel away. I tried to laugh it off, to push the weight away. This is ridiculous. Tomorrow I'll wake up and forget this ever happened. But Alex shook his head slowly. I don't think you will. And deep down, though I hated to admit it, I knew he was right. Because once you give something a name, it becomes real. The night stretched on, but I couldn't pull myself away from the mirror. The word Alex had given me, Lily, echoed in my mind like a melody I didn't know I'd been waiting to hear. Each time I looked at my reflection, I tested it silently, whispering the name under my breath, as though it were a spell that only worked in private. Lily. At first, it felt wrong, like I was stealing someone else's identity. But the longer I stood there, the more it wrapped around me, sinking into the fabric of the skirt and blouse, the wig brushing against my cheeks, the lip gloss glinting faintly under the light. Lily wasn't just a disguise. She was there in the way my posture shifted, in the careful tilt of my chin, in the nervous smile curling on my lips. Alex leaned back on the couch, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Usually, he teased, filled the air with jokes to keep me off balance. But now, he was quiet, almost respectful, as if he understood I was crossing a threshold I didn't even recognize myself. You're standing different, he finally said. I blinked, startled. What do you mean? Your shoulders, he gestured. They're not hunched like before. And your hands, you're holding them lighter, like you're not fighting yourself anymore. I looked down at my hands, realizing he was right. The clenched fists had softened. My fingers relaxed against the skirt's hem. Without thinking, I smoothed the fabric the way I'd seen women do 1,000 times, as though making sure it fell neatly. The gesture felt natural, instinctive. Panic flickered through me. I don't even know why I'm doing that. Because you're not pretending anymore, Alex said simply. His words landed like a stone in my chest. Not pretending. The phrase terrified me, because if I wasn't pretending, then what was I doing? I backed away from the mirror, shaking my head. This is just tonight. Just some weird experiment. Tomorrow I'll go back to normal. Alex didn't argue. He just gave me that knowing look, the kind that unsettled me more than any teasing could. Maybe. Or maybe normal isn't what you thought it was. I tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. I collapsed onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. The makeup probably smeared, but I didn't care. My thoughts were a storm, confusion, fear, and something I couldn't name, but that burned hot in my chest. Alex sat down beside me, his voice calm. Listen, no one's asking you to figure everything out right now. You don't have to. But you can't deny what just happened. You saw Lily in the mirror. And once you see her, you can't unsee her. His words sent a shiver through me. He was right, and that terrified me. Because the reflection had felt real, the name had felt alive, and a part of me, deep, hidden, desperate, didn't want to let her go. I lifted my head slowly, catching my reflection again across the room. My eyes were red, my lip gloss uneven, but still, there she was. Lily. And she was smiling at me. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the blinds, dragging me back into consciousness. For a moment, I forgot everything until I caught sight of the wig resting on the dresser, the blouse draped neatly over a chair, the faint traces of mascara smudged around my eyes. And just like that, the storm from last night came rushing back. I sat up quickly, my heart pounding. This was supposed to be over. It was supposed to be one strange night I could laugh off and bury. But as I stared at those clothes, I felt that same pull in my chest, the one that whispered of something unfinished. Alex padded into the room, already awake, holding 2 mugs of coffee. He took one look at my face and smirked. Morning, Lily. I froze, gripping the blanket tighter. Don't
Call me that.
Why not? He asked casually, setting the mug on the table beside me. It suits you. The worst part was he wasn't wrong. The name felt like it was still clinging to my skin, no matter how much I tried to shake it. I buried my face in my hands. This was supposed to stay between us. Just a joke, a one-night thing. Alex tilted his head, sipping his coffee slowly. And if it isn't, what then? I didn't answer because I didn't know. He leaned forward, his voice lowering, almost conspiratorial. You're scared because you think if anyone else sees her, it becomes real. But what if that's exactly what you need? My stomach dropped. What are you saying? I'm saying, he said, drawing out each word carefully, that Lily doesn't belong to the shadows of my apartment. She deserves to breathe, even if it's just a walk outside, even if it's just once. The thought made me dizzy. Stepping outside, dressed like that, the idea was impossible. The fear alone would crush me. People would stare.
People would laugh.
I'd be exposed, ruined. No, I whispered, shaking my head violently. I can't do that. But Alex's expression didn't waver. He didn't tease or push. He just looked at me, calm and steady. Then, why does the idea scare you more than it should? I hated him for asking, because the truth was, buried beneath the fear, there was something else, a dangerous thrill. The idea of stepping outside, of feeling the sun on my skin not as who I'd always been, but as Lily, sent a current through me that I couldn't deny. For the rest of the day, I avoided the subject. I changed back into my old clothes, tried to bury Lily beneath them, but it felt wrong. The fabric felt heavier somehow, like I was putting back on armor I no longer fit into. And every time Alex caught my eye, I saw the question there, unspoken but insistent. What if Lily isn't meant to stay hidden? That night, lying awake, I stared at the ceiling, my heart restless. The fear hadn't gone away, but neither had the pull. And I knew, deep down, that Alex wouldn't let this end here. Nor would I. The decision wasn't made all at once. It built slowly, in restless nights and stolen glances at the clothes Alex had left neatly folded for me. Each time I passed them, my chest tightened, my heart whispering questions I didn't want to answer. By the third night, I couldn't stand it anymore. Alex, I said quietly, finding him scrolling through his phone on the couch. If I go outside like this, will you stay with me? He looked up immediately, his smirk replaced by a rare seriousness. Every step. That's how I ended up back in the bathroom, hands trembling as I slipped into the skirt and blouse again. My reflection greeted me like an old friend, but this time, the fear didn't choke me as hard. The makeup went on slowly, clumsily, but with each stroke, I felt Lily emerging again, brushing away the shell I'd worn all day. When I stepped out, Alex's grin widened. She's back. I rolled my eyes, but my lips betrayed me with the smallest smile. My nerves tangled in knots, but the name, Lily, anchored me. The front door loomed like a wall. My legs felt heavy as I approached it, every instinct screaming at me to stop. I can't, I whispered, frozen. Yes, you can, Alex said firmly. One step. That's all it takes. I swallowed hard. My hand gripped the doorknob. The cool metal bit into my palm, grounding me, and then I turned it. The door creaked open, and the night air rushed in, cool and sharp against my skin. For a heartbeat, I hovered there, half hidden, the outside world stretching wide and merciless beyond. But then, with Alex's hand lightly at my back, I stepped forward. One step, then another. The street was quiet, bathed in the glow of streetlights. No one was around, yet my pulse thundered like a drum. The sound of my footsteps against the pavement echoed louder than it should have, each one both terrifying and exhilarating. I kept waiting for something, for laughter, for judgment, for the world to shatter around me. But nothing happened. The night didn't collapse. The sky didn't fall. I just existed. And for the first time, it was Lily who was breathing in the cool air, Lily who felt the breeze tug at her skirt, Lily who tilted her chin up to the stars. Alex walked beside me, quiet, giving me space. When I finally looked at him, his expression was calm, almost proud. Well, he asked softly. I swallowed, my throat thick. It feels different. Like I'm free. The words startled me even as I said them. But they were true. For a long time, we walked in silence. Just a few blocks, nothing grand. Yet with each step, the fear dulled and the strange exhilaration grew. The more I moved, the more Lily felt less like a fragile illusion and more like someone who had always been waiting beneath the surface, finally allowed to stretch into the open air. When we returned, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. And this time, I didn't see a stranger staring back. I saw Lily, alive, breathing, real. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of her.